with President Trump in crucial states 13 days before the November 3rd election at an outdoor drive-in rally in Pennsylvania's biggest city of Philadelphia. Trump will head to North Carolina, another crucial battleground state where polls show a tight race, to hold a rally with supporters this evening. The rare public appearance by former President Obama, a frequent target for Trump's attacks and still one of the Democratic Party's biggest stars nearly 4 years after leaving the White House, comes at a very critical time. Biden and Trump meet in their second and final debate tomorrow night, giving the Republican an opportunity to change the trajectory of a race that Biden is leading in national polls. Democrat Joe Biden has been taking the opposite approach, holding up for debate prep in advance of tomorrow's face-off in Nashville, Tennessee, as President Trump is hopping from one must-win stop on the electoral map to the next in the lead-up to a final presidential debate that may be his last. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's campaign has entered the final stretch of the race with a large cash advantage over President Trump. This according to disclosures filed with the Federal Election Commission. The former vice president's campaign outraised and outspent Trump's re-election effort last month, with Biden's political ads now much more prevalent on American television. Despite a flurry of events over the past few months, polls of the presidential race have remained remarkably static, with Biden maintaining a consistent advantage. President Trump's wife Melania canceled a rare joint appearance with him at a campaign rally due to a lingering cough yesterday following her infection with the coronavirus. A dire outlook for the U.S. has returned amid what experts are calling a third wave of the coronavirus, with more than 40 million reported cases globally and 1.1 million deaths. The pandemic shows no sign of slowing down. In the United States, more than 8.2 million cases and more than 220 deaths have been reported to date. And while the rate of deaths has slowed, there is still concern for some of the most vulnerable populations, where increasingly asymptomatic cases are being reported. Meanwhile, the case count has already hit more than 60,000 daily, with all regions of the country affected. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases among children in the United States has increased by 13% this month. And Dr. Anthony Fauci told military and veteran caregivers that the United States may have a very difficult fall and winter because of the pandemic. New York, New Jersey and Connecticut urging their residents to not travel between the three states as the U.S. Northeast sees a rise in COVID-19 cases, while California has said major theme parks, including Disneyland, would not be opening anytime soon. The battle over a hefty new U.S. coronavirus aid bill was set to spill into today as the White House and Democrats try to strike a deal before the presidential election, now with encouragement of President Trump. In recent weeks, the United States has seen cases drastically spike throughout the country, and epidemiologists are predicting a third wave of infections. Public health experts are now warning gatherings of families and friends during the holidays could further exacerbate community spread of the virus. And President Trump reportedly retains a secret bank account in China, according to the New York Times' latest investigation of his tax records, making a nonsense of his flailing attempts to tie Joe Biden to the political interests of Beijing. He spent a decade unsuccessfully pursuing projects in China, operating an office there during his first run for president and forging a partnership with a major government-controlled company. The U.S. government filed a blockbuster lawsuit accusing Google of maintaining an illegal monopoly in online search and advertising in the country's biggest antitrust case in decades, and opening the door to a potential breakup of the Silicon Valley titan. Texas is joining the U.S. Department of Justice and many other states in filing that antitrust suit challenging Google's exclusionary business practices. And it is the U.S. antitrust crackdown on Google that might seem like a déjà vu for European Union regulators, but by U.S. standards, the Justice Department's move to sue Google this week for abusing its dominance in online search and advertising was a bold move, but it treads on ground already broken years before by European Union officials in Brussels. Tropical storm Epsilon has formed in the Atlantic Ocean this week and should be reaching a hurricane strength by tomorrow as it approaches Bermuda. Mexico's former defense minister ordered held in U.S. custody without bail pending his trial on drug trafficking charges in a case that could have far-reaching implications for U.S. and Mexican anti-cartel strategy. Mexico's health ministry reporting over 5,000 additional cases of the coronavirus and 555 more deaths in the country. U.S. fighter jets intercepted 4 Russian military aircrafts in international airspace near Alaska. The Russian planes came within 35 miles of Alaska's shores but did not enter U.S. or Canadian airspace during the encounter. Russia's foreign minister called for collective efforts to prevent a large-scale war in the Persian Gulf and got strong support from all Security Council members except the United States, which called Iran the major culprit and urged that it be held accountable for supporting terrorists and destabilizing the region. A ceasefire in the mountain territory of Nagorno and Karabakh was under severe strain after fierce new clashes between Azeri and ethnic Armenian forces fighting their deadliest battle since the 1990s. Kuwait's Emir Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah called for national unity to meet challenges facing the Gulf state in a speech to lawmakers ahead of the December 5th elections. And the trials of Sudan's ousted President Omar al-Bashir and others over a 1989 coup heard defense arguments dismissing charges of illegal use of military force. The latest hearing coincided with a mission to Khartoum by a team of International Criminal Court, which has sought for almost a decade to try Bashir for alleged war crimes in Darfur. Nigeria's anti-police protesters stayed on the streets in Lagos today, breaking the government curfew following a night of chaotic violence in which demonstrators were fired upon. And a French high school teacher who had shown caricatures of Prophet Muhammad to his class was beheaded by an 18-year-old Muslim refugee in what France's President Emmanuel Macron characterized as an Islamic terrorist attack. Balkan neighbours Albania and Greece said they have agreed to refer a dispute over their maritime borders in the Ionian Sea to the Netherlands-based International Court of Justice. And a British Royal Navy vessel has seized 450 kilograms of methamphetamine in the Northern Arabian Sea, in the largest ever bust by a joint maritime operation in that region. The European Union told Britain today to make up its mind on Brexit, putting the onus back on London to unlock trade talks, as the bloc's chief negotiator said an agreement was still within reach with 10 weeks to go. And UK researchers are preparing to infect healthy young volunteers with the virus that caused COVID-19, becoming the first to announce plans to use the controversial technique to study the disease and potentially speed up development of a vaccine that could help end the pandemic. The coronavirus will be around forevermore, as it is unlikely it will be eradicated, according to a British scientist and government's advisory committee for the pandemic. And Britain, like other countries in Europe, is currently in the grip of a resurgence in COVID-19 infections, with much of the country under local restrictions and more than 21,000 daily cases reported yesterday. We do have Poland's coronavirus infections doubled in less than 3 weeks, and up to 30% of the people in Poland could now end up being hospitalized. The Czech Republic reported almost 12,000 new cases. And we do have the number of daily coronavirus deaths in Ukraine jumping to 141 from the previous record of 113. Spain's total registered cases have neared 1 million. As Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez is facing a no-confidence debate in Parliament brought by the nation's far-right Vox party. Germany has granted asylum to a Hong Kong pro-democracy activist who fled after being arrested in relation to last year's mass protests. And amid reports that India is looking to start discussions on a trade deal with Taiwan, China has asked New Delhi to approach Taiwan-related issues prudently, while insisting that there's only one China and that Taiwan is its inalienable part. India released the Chinese soldier who was apprehended after he inadvertently crossed over into Indian territory in the Demchok sector of eastern Ladakh. And we have the Ministry of External Affairs considering making it mandatory for Indian universities to obtain prior permission from the government before signing any memorandum of understanding with educational institutions of countries that share land borders with India. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the World News on Radio Caravan. And as the daily increase in the number of coronavirus continues to fall in India, the Union Health Ministry said the active cases settled below the 7.5 lakh mark for the second successive day. And a spike of 54,000 new cases and 717 deaths have been marked in the last 24 hours. Going into the business end of this IPL, 4 teams have established strong claims to make the playoffs. It is today's tie between two of them, Kolkata Knight Riders and the Royal Challengers in Abu Dhabi. And the KKR skipper has won the toss and opted to bat against the Royal Challengers Bangalore in Abu Dhabi. It was Shikhar Dhawan's night in Dubai yesterday. And it was when he went on a rampage against the KXIP bowlers as he started hammering boundaries and went on to register his half-century in the 13th over, surpassing the 5,000-run mark, becoming only the 5th player to join the club after Virat Kohli, Suresh Raina, Rohit Sharma and David Warner. Zimbabwe's cricket squad has arrived in Pakistan, minus their Indian coach Lalchand Rajput. Celebrated international umpire Aleem Dar has been assigned on-field duties in 5 of the 6 upcoming white ball matches between Pakistan and Zimbabwe, to be played from the 30th of this month till the 10th of November. At least 15 people were killed in a stampede among thousands of Afghans gathered outside Pakistan's consulate as jostling broke out between people applying for visas. And we do have at least 5 people who've died and 20 others injured in an explosion in a multi-story building near Maskan Chaurangi in Karachi's Gulshan-e-Iqbal area. Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa has taken notice of and ordered an immediate inquiry into the Karachi incident. It is not just the political parties in Pakistan who are protesting against the deep state in the country. Police officers in the Sindh province are also revolting against the atrocities of the powerful army. In Sindh, the Chief Minister Murad Ali Shah said police did their work and acted in accordance with the law to book and later arrest PMLN leader retired Captain Mohammed Safdar from